as your star is rising and you're getting more popular and you're getting more well known,
Yeah.
you're a student of fame. You know how fame and you know how pop culture works.
Yeah.
Do you at all get nervous becoming more famous? Because a
No.
lot comes with it.
No, because I don't that's not my doing, right? The
Mm,
fame part isn't anything that I have anything to do with. The fame part is someone else's manufacturing. The fame part is all of the rest of us, right? To me, what is more important than fame is purpose. That's the thing that I wake up every day concerned about. That's the thing that I wake up every day thinking about. Like, how today am I efforting toward the thing that I set out, right? The reason I believe myself to be here. Like, that is the part to me that consumes considerable thought. Fame for me isn't it isn't uh, a motivating factor or and like an ever-present concern. No, I do understand that fame has a way of distorting reality
yeah,
for the famous, as well as the what is it? The adorning. What is it? What is it?
yeah.
Those who worship or support in that way. I do realize it has a way of distorting. Um, but like again, I'm working at this thing trying to be so clear, not trying, working to be so clear, working to be so intentional and honest that I'm not really worried about that. And I really don't like it. Like I think it was Oprah who said, that don't have nothing to do with me.
Mm-hmm.
That don't
Mm-hmm.
have nothing to do with me. You know, I'm here to do this thing every day. And that's going to be the thing that persists, whether I'm famous or not.
Right. You're on message. You're on purpose. You're on purpose.
Yeah.
And you also have a podcast as well, too, right?
Yeah, so close. The podcast was something that I started out of having these really meaningful conversations during quarantine. We were in like hardcore lockdown early in this pandemic, and I was having these conversations with major forces in this industry, but also having these conversations with friends and family. They were so mirrored, right? We all have been concerned. We all realized at least at that point, I realized that many of us are concerned about the same thing. You know what I mean? Whether you're my boy who creates like graphic design screen prints for T-shirts, or whether you're Tyler Perry, like it is. At the end of the day, we're all concerned. At our core, we share so many of the same concerns, which means that we probably all share many of the same life lessons, right? And that certainly a Tyler Perry can be a benefit, can be a blessing to the screen printer. You know what I mean? There are things that we can glean from his story, his experience, his wisdom that you can apply in your life, and that, in the words of DJ Khaled, you know, knowing is
Mm-hmm.
better than learning,
Yeah.
because when you know, you don't have to learn,
Yeah.
because learning can be painful, but knowing will keep you from pain.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is in that effort that I was like, I gotta share some of these keys. I gotta get people to understand that, like, the reason why Taylor Perry is where he is, the reason why Cynthia Erivo, Derek Huff, Tyson Beckford, the reason why they are where they are. Dr. Z, this incredible scientist who studies the power of positivity, literally the power of positivity. Um, the reason why they are successful and why they are where they are is not because they are someone special or someone more special than you who may be listening to this, but because they are someone who decided this is what it's going to be. Because I'm going to work toward it every day. I have discovered and am willing to share every day what I have to offer. It's not just about what I can take from this life. It's not just about what I can um, uh, sell, but what do I offer, right? What is my offering in this? Um, and they went about it every day. You know what I mean? With themselves, not necessarily in um, at the forefront, at the focus, right? It wasn't about, oh, I'm doing this for because it's gonna make me look good, you know. It was about how we can better understand, connect, or expand this human experience.
If you're just tuning in, we are talking to Scott Evans. He is a journalist and host of NBC's Access Daily and Access Hollywood. So let me ask you, which celebrity were you the most nervous to interview? That your nerves were a little bit rattled?
Most nervous to interview.
Yeah.
I don't really get nervous for interviews anymore, but early on, my first interview was with Taylor Swift for Access Hollywood.
Yeah, I remember that. And
My
she
first
loved you.
interview. Yeah, my first, and in fact, just got reunited with her after several years of not, we haven't had a sit down since that interview, but we've had several interactions. And she just like, she's one of those people that when she got on the carpet, she'd done a couple interviews before and have been very kind. She's very thoughtful. She's a very thoughtful interview. She understands the game, like what this industry can call for sometimes, but she's also making her own rules, right? But when I saw her, everybody's masked up and all this stuff. She came in for the hug, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like, this is just, and I finally had a moment with her where I was able to thank her for showing up the way that she did in that interview, because it really did create a path forward for me at Access Hollywood. I do believe that interaction, that interview, that exclusive was one of the things that solidified for my former boss, and EP of Access Hollywood and Access Daily, Rob Silverstein. I think it solidified for him, there's something to this kid that's undeniable. Never seen him, never met him, or at that point we had met. I don't know him, but I know that there is something undeniable about this kid, because if a Taylor Swift is walking up to you after an interview that was supposed to be 5 minutes and it was closer to 20 minutes, and she's saying things like, that was so much fun.
Wait, didn't her team email your boss or your team and say this guy was incredible?
Yeah,
so she really, I mean, after the interview was over, she praised you.
Yeah, they called once they got in the car, and they were just like, this guy,
the car. Wow.
They left the venue, and they were in the car talking about the day, and my name came up, and they called Nancy Harrison, who was the producer of the shoot and the head of music at Access Hollywood. She called me into her office, and I remember we were looking out onto the Hudson River in Manhattan, and she wouldn't even look at me. She's looking out of the window, and she's like, listen, I don't know where you came from. I don't know what you want to do in this business or at this show, but my hope for you is that you consistently do the thing that you just did, because it's going to set you apart. And so that's kind of how I go into, all of my things at Access, and all of the things, really all of my interactions, whether it's the person at the coffee shop, the restaurant, or a television show. I think that's one of the reasons why I don't get nervous really anymore interviewing people, because I realize it's bigger than the interview. It's more to me than what's captured on camera, right? I just had a really, really beautiful sit down and insightful conversation with Cynthia Germanata, Lady Gaga's mother.
Yeah. Lady Gaga's mother. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we had this really beautiful conversation, and I think some people could be angling for something, or not necessarily present for that conversation because they want another conversation eventually. We both cried. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We both cried. I think to answer your question about who was someone that I got really nervous for, I'll tell you, I got really excited about an interview with Oprah, my first interview with Oprah Winfrey at her home.
Oh, wow.
I got really excited for that because I took a check that I had written myself for $1 million with me to that interview. And I wanted Oprah's energy on that check. I wanted her belief in my goal on that check. And I remember showing it to her and just saying, you are the kind of person that can walk into a bank and cash this check right now. I want to be that dude. And I don't know how that's going to show up in my life. I don't know when it's going to show up in my life, but I want you to hold this check with me and believe with me that I will be able to walk into a bank and cash this check. And she got so excited that she's holding the check with me, and she was like, okay, listen. This is the thing. This is the thing. And this is the kind of advice only a billionaire really can give you, or at least a millionaire time and like several times over. She said, so you want to cash the check for $1 million, meaning you want to take $1 million home? I said, yeah. She said, okay, you're gonna have to, you just fold this check and put this up, but you're gonna need to rewrite this check for $1,350,000, because if you want to take home $1 million, you got to earn over $1 million, because Uncle Sam gonna take his cut. And in order to take $1 million home, that's the number you got to get. I remember looking at her and being like, that's some billionaire advice if I've ever heard it, right? And she was like, I'm just saying, I believe it. And she grabbed me, she hugged me, we prayed, and she said, it's already on its way to you because you're willing to do the work. She said, I hope that you just notice on the way all of the $1 million ideas that you have. It's not just one check, it's gonna be several. I was like, this is incredible. And it wasn't until I started doing more press for Access Hollywood and for this NBC achievement announcement that I realized the amount that I didn't even know I was negotiating, right? The amount that we would settle on would be the number, right? Like literally the deal is a representation of that check. And so we're there, you know what I mean? And I don't say that to like try to gloat. I'm not saying that to try to like big myself up. I'm saying that to say, like, if you are a person who ever counted yourself out for any period of time, if you were ever a person who looked at their circumstances and said, I don't know how this thing is going to come to be, because nothing that I'm looking at necessarily in my life beyond my effort and my desire points to it's going to be me, but I'm going to keep walking and hopefully and trusting that the ground will rise to meet me. If you have ever been that person, that like, it's already happening. It's already happening. And like, if I can do this and reach any sort of success in this, you can. There is nothing separating me from you. Nothing. I'm not more deserving. I'm not more talented. I'm not in a better position. Wasn't in a better position. There was no other option. This got to go. It's got to go.
Wow. Where were you raised?
Born on the East Coast and in New Jersey, but raised in Indianapolis, Indiana. I went back and forth for a little while, but for the most part, really raised in Indianapolis.
Wow, Scott, we needed this week. It's just been such a crazy week with
Yeah,
trials going on, and it's just been a
yeah,
heartbreaking week, and Black pastors being banned from courtrooms, and so it's just so great to talk to you. Yeah, man, it's about the grind and the hustle, and hopefully the end game just being as happy as possible. So
yeah. It's about living joy every day. If you're waiting until the goal is achieved to then experience the happiness, you're missing it. You're missing. It's all around you. Wake up every day wanting to notice at least 3 moments of joy. And maybe you participate in it. Maybe you are a reason the joy happens, or maybe you just see it unfold. But if you go out in search of that every day, you will surprise yourself, I'm sure, of how many days you find it. And so, the people talk about what you focus on expands, what you focus on grows. Focus on that. But I am relentlessly optimistic. Can't nobody talk me out of it. No, 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 no. And have distanced myself wholeheartedly from people who made it their business to discourage, to
oh,
speak
yeah.
ill or death or not life. You know what I'm saying? You got this. You absolutely got this. And if not you, who? So go get it.
No, listen, I believe you create your own world with people that you're around. And if you're around people who are toxic, who are mean, who are negative, no matter how great you think you are, that's gonna get under your skin. You have to really be aware of that. You have to create your own world. Your circle is so important. No matter if you're broke or rich, you got to be aware of your circle. And I've
Yeah.
seen people lose a lot because their circle was just so cruel.
The you are the sum of the five people you hang around most.
Yeah, absolutely.
You are the sum of the five people you hang around most. And so if you're looking at your five and none of them are living the life that you aspire to, none of them are efforting toward a circumstance or situation that makes not only their lives better, but lives around them better, maybe you won't reconsider your five.
Exactly.
Just saying. Maybe
Just
you
think
want
about it.
just
Just
think
think
about
about it.
that. Just think about it.
Last question though. How are your DMs? Are the DMs on and popping? Are they on fire?
Yeah. Now I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be honest with you. Clay, my DMs have always been cracked. They've been cracking for a long time. But now there is this shift. There is this shift with creators coming to me saying, I got a story I want to tell, I got an idea that I want to get off the ground. And I'm encouraging that. Like if you are someone who has said, this thing people need to see, or this thing people need to experience, or I'm working on this, if only this piece could happen, get in touch with me. You know, the idea is to expand this space where it's not just Lena Waithe who's creating this content, it's not just Issa Rae who's creating this content, it's not just Kenya Barris who's creating this content. It is, there are more of us telling more of our stories, telling more stories, period. Let's go get it.
Yeah,
Hit me
absolutely.
up.
Absolutely.
And if you talk about another kind of cracking, hit me up too. Shoot your shot. Shoot your shot. Shoot it.
I, I believe in shooting your shot. I do believe. Now
Shoot
I
it.
don't know if I'm gonna respond to you, but you believe, you go for it. Go hard.
Shoot your
That's what I
shot.
believe.
What did Chappelle as Dave? What did Dave Chappelle as Prince say? Shoot the J. Shoot it. Game blouses.
I believe.